Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, Ph.D., and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving, purpose-minded women who've written nonfiction books and want to amplify their message beyond the book. I'm a college professor, and when I'm not doing that, I am speaking, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women who have written books how to use their books to make a bigger difference, have more impact, and purpose. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. So glad you're here and listening to the podcast. Really appreciate you. I say that all the time, and I feel like just can't say it enough because it is true to my heart. Really appreciate you. And because you've been listening, you've helped the podcast become top ranked according to the podcast search engine Listen Notes. So thank you for doing that. Okay, so today is another solo episode. I wanted to share some thoughts with you in hopes to encourage you, inspire you, and motivate you in your life and work today. And then during our next episode, we'll get back to talking to a guest. All right, so for today, I wanted to share with you, if I had to give it a topic, which I will, it would be what holds us back? What holds us back? And so I've been thinking about that for myself. So I'm kind of sharing with you from my own journey, sort of documenting my own process of learning about what holds me back. So then I thought that might be helpful for you, so you could benefit from the lessons I've learned. So first, let me talk about what I mean by what holds us back. What I mean by that is whatever keeps you, me, us from taking the next step. The next step in anything that is important to us, goals, activities, projects, something that is important that we know we want to do and that we want to move forward to that, for that. All right. So now if you're an author or business owner, it might be that you want to put yourself out there more and reach out to potential readers, potential clients, and ask them for business, but you've just not been doing that. It's just been holding yourself back. Or you might be wanting to post more on social media about your business or about your book and just not quite able to do that. Something seems to be holding you back. So those are some examples of what I mean by what's holding you back or what's holding us back. And it's important to know so we could actually become aware of it and then address it. Because a lot of times we're so busy just going along with life and work and things and all the things, and we're not aware of what's going on with us. So this is a moment to pause and think about it, or give you some reflection for the next time you find yourself not moving forward and holding yourself back from moving towards something that's really important to you. All right. So it's important to know because of the awareness will help us then move forward. Now, how do we know? How do we know what's holding us back? Well, here are three things that I've learned from my own journey and my own experience of what holds me back. And it is first, how we're thinking. So our thoughts. The second, fear, some form of fear. And the third one is not knowing what to do next. So our thoughts, fear, and not knowing what to do next. And I'll say a little bit about each one. First of all, and by the way, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, but there's no particular order. And one doesn't outweigh the other. These are just three that I observed in my own life and experience. So the first one is our thoughts, or how we're thinking. And so I wanted to share with you some phrases that might go through your mind, phrases that have gone through my mind, that might go through your mind. And when you hear these phrases going through your mind, you'll know that they're an indicator of what's holding you back. The first one, when you hear yourself saying, I can't fill in the blank, I can't. Just pay attention to that. See what's going on there. Or if you hear yourself saying, I'm not good enough to, Or who do I think I am to fill in the blank? Here's another one. I don't have enough, fill in the blank, whatever it is for the situation. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Pay attention to those. Those are indicators. And here's one that really, really stumps me most times. And this is the one that when I hear myself saying, I don't know the right way to do fill in the blank. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I like to have step by step, step by step instructions. This is the way you do it. This is the right way to do it. What's the template? What's the framework? And once I have that, I can follow that. I'm off, right? But as you know, it doesn't always come that easily to have a step by step. So when you hear yourself thinking those phrases or something along the line of those phrases, recognize that it's an indicator of what's holding you back. So that was the first one. All right, so now the second one is fear. And I feel like I just heard some response like, fear. I don't have any fear. Well, let me tell you what I mean by fear. It shows up in different ways. It shows up like stress. We say, oh, I can't do it because I'm too stressed. Sometimes it's stress, but sometimes it's an indicator of fear. Or if we find ourselves just being hesitant, not just keep holding back, hesitant, not ready to move when you kind of know you're ready to move. Or here's another kind of expression of fear is when you procrastinate, just put it off and put it off and put it off without realizing what's underlying that. That's fear. So I'll share with you an example from my own experience of procrastination undergirded by fear. When I published my first book a couple of years ago, as you may know, let me back up for a minute and give you a little background. As you may know, for those of you who might be new to me, maybe you don't know, I'm a college professor and I teach in a local university here in Los Angeles, and I love teaching and I do that. And I had been doing that at the time of this story about 2 years ago. I've been doing it over a decade. And so for the first time in my experience there, I had an opportunity to teach a course from a book that I published myself. So it was the first book I published, and it was my own book. I mean, I didn't publish it. Georgetown University Press published it. But let me get back to the story here. All right. So, but when I had the book published, I thought, this is my opportunity to teach a course at the university from this book. So then I put in a proposal and it was accepted and I could teach this course from this book. Really exciting. Yay, milestone, right? Very exciting. And then after excitement died down, I immediately had I got frozen. And this is what it looked like. And I'm telling you about how fear looks and sounds. It's kind of hidden. It doesn't sound so out in your face like fear. All right. So this is what it looked like for me. It might be for you. I said, okay, I'll put it together. I'll start working on that syllabus next week. Next week came. Okay, I'll work on it next week. Still didn't do it. Next week came. Okay, I'll work on it next week. And I did that for quite a few weeks. And then I realized what's going on here. And I was like, I'm kind of freaked out about this because now I'm writing a syllabus, a course, creating a course from my own thoughts, my own words, my own, what I consider to be blood, sweat, and tears of putting that book together, writing that book. So I realized I was stuck, right? It was holding me back. And so I just stopped and I took some time and said, all right, you're stuck here. How can you move forward? And so I was like coaching myself. So I told myself, look what you've done. You've been doing this over a decade. You've been teaching courses with great success. And you even had an opportunity to teach and still teaching other faculty for certain areas, right? So I said, okay, let me think about what I've done. And so to separate myself from this emotional turmoil that was going on in the back of my mind, I said, all right, just start writing out the steps of what you've been doing over the years. What do you do when you first start creating a course? And then what do you do second and third and fourth? And just make a list and create a process, right? So I wrote it all out, created a process, and now it's a framework and a system. Remember, I told you I like to know a framework. All right, so I have this framework, and then I do that. I just follow my own framework, created the course, presented it to the students. It was successful, and I was able to move on. All right, so now that's an example of how fear was holding me back, but it looked like procrastination. And interestingly enough, from all of that, I've learned to help others who are thinking about creating their own courses based on their books, not in a university setting necessarily, but as authors who are authors, nonfiction authors, and their books are related to their business in some way. I help them create courses based on their books. And it first starts with if there's some hesitance in the beginning and overcoming that fear. Okay, so that stems out of mind. But what we're talking about today here is what holds us back, right? And so the first one I talked about was how we are thinking, our thoughts. And the second, fear. And now the third and the final one is when we have a sense of we don't know what to do next. And that's another one for me. Sometimes I just won't do anything if I feel like I don't know what to do. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? And sometimes I spend too long in that and I distract myself doing other things because I don't know how to do that one thing. So what I've learned, and I'm encouraging you based on my learning, is to don't take too long. Find somebody else who has done that. Surely, no matter what it is, someone else has done that thing that you want to do, and they have done it successfully, and you have access to them. Find them and ask them or figure out what they did and then do that. So you're not losing time and energy and motivation and not moving forward in the goals and the tasks and the activities that you want to do. Okay, so those are the three ways that we hold ourselves back with our thinking, with fear and all its different expressions, and when we have this sense of we don't know what to do. So now when those things come up, I hope they'll be in your awareness and it'll allow you to move forward as it has with me. All right. I'd love to hear what you have to think about this. If you have a takeaway from this conversation, go on over to LinkedIn. Just go to LinkedIn and message me at Robin L. Owens, Ph.D. at Robin L. Owens, Ph.D. And let me know your takeaway from this episode. Okay. All right. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Dr. Robin signing off. See you next time.